Law is time-consuming and time is money. But it can be made more efficient and therefore quicker and therefore cheaper. We'll talk about electronic courts right now on The Law Works.
From West Virginia Public Broadcasting.
Closed captioning for The Law Works is made possible by a grant from the Monongalia County Bar Association to support legal information and education for all West Virginians. The Law Works is made possible by major grants from the West Virginia Attorney General and from Software Systems Incorporated, a West Virginia company established in 1975, which provides high-end support services, programming, and consulting for county government AS400 mid-range computer systems, as well as PC-based systems, and by a grant from the West Virginia Bar Foundation. The West Virginia Bar Foundation, the philanthropic organization for West Virginia's legal profession and justice system, promoting public knowledge of the law in West Virginia.
Our courts are becoming computerized. I don't mean just replacing typewriters with computers. We're well past that. But doing essentially everything electronically. My guests are Matt Arrowood, the Director of Circuit Clerk Services for the West Virginia Supreme Court of Appeals, Barbara Core, a consultant with Online Information Services Incorporated and the retired Circuit Clerk of Marion County, and Michael Manley, President of Software Systems Incorporated. Matt, Michael, Barb, thank you for joining us. Now, we like to use visual aids here, so I want to show you how historically we have stored things in the legal profession and in the courts. You probably all recognize this or one of these. It's a storage box. Sometimes we call them bankers' boxes, although bankers haven't used them for decades. But in most attorneys' offices and in clerks' offices, there would be one of these for each case, typically. Sometimes 2, 3, or 4. How would you like to go to court and have this with you, have to take it in, or be the judge sitting on the bench and having a stack of these over in the corner in case you need to pull out a document? Or perhaps you'd rather deal with this. This is a computer hard drive. A lot easier, isn't it? It does require a computer, but we can deal with that. Or even better, a compact disc or a DVD. You can put an awful lot on this, maybe not as much as on the hard drive, but enough to handle most cases, or increasingly, something like this. This is a flash drive, and frankly, it will hold as much as most any of the rest of these, except the storage box. You could put 100 or 200 of those storage boxes on this in electronic form. And that's where we're going. The courts are becoming computerized, digital files, faster, easier, and at least as importantly, cheaper. Matt, where are we in this process?
Currently, back in May, into May, June, we started e-filing in Marion County, and currently is open to any attorney or any attorney outside of Marion County that wants to file a case within Marion County, a civil case, C-type only. And hopefully starting into this month, next month, we'll be going into Jefferson, Upshur, and Lewis counties.
E-filing, what does e-filing mean?
E-filing is filing a document electronically. Basically, it's taking a piece of paper, creating it digitally, and submitting it to the clerk's office, to the court system, the same way you would as walking into the clerk's office and handing them a piece of paper. You're now submitting them a digital document 24/7 from your own house.
Historically, what you just described is what we had to do. You put it on paper. You had to have 1, 3, 7, 12 copies, depending upon what court you were in and what the particular action was that you were taking. Carry them to the clerk's office. Barb, when I walked in with these documents, let's say I'm filing a lawsuit. What did I have to do to file a lawsuit the conventional way?
Well, as you stated, you had to physically bring it into the office, and then the clerk had to clock all of the documents in to record that they were officially received.
What does clock in mean?
You actually take the document and you put it in a clock, which has the date and time stamp on it. You're required by law to clock in the documents. Once you did that, you had to receipt it in, enter it into the computer system, write out, issue a summons if it was necessary, print out copies of the summonses, do the service. It took a little bit of time when you brought in a lawsuit and filed at the convention.
And I would have to bring at least 3 copies of that initial document, the complaint, with me, one for you, one for the person that I'm suing, and then one for the process server to bring back to say that he or she had delivered the document to the person.
And if you had multiple defendants, then you had to produce that many more copies.
So if I had 12 defendants in a lawsuit, I had to bring you 1 plus 24 copies, and you had to handle all 24 of those.
Yes.
And then somebody had to come and pick them up.
From the sheriff's tax office and take them down and deliver them.
And where did you put all this paper once this all started?
They went on to into the case files, and they were filed on shelves in the clerk's office.
You have a really big office, did you?
Yes, we've got about 10 years, if that much, on site right now. But as we discussed on the show last time we were here, the county has rented or bought a building across the street from the courthouse, and it's filled with files from just the circuit clerk's office.
The building was bought to store the paper that you could fit on a handful of these.
And in the past 5 years, we have been digitizing most of those documents over there. And as we do it, if it's permitted within the records retention schedule, we have been destroying them. So it's taking time, but we are getting rid of those paper documents. And with the e-filing, it will simply stop. There will be no paper. Even if an individual walks into the clerk's office, say someone who is a pro se litigant, they're representing themselves, and they filed the traditional paper documents. Once the clerk puts it into the system, the paper documents will be destroyed. So it's just going to cease.
I was in my office this morning before coming here to do this program, and I walked back into my file storage retention room, and stacks and stacks of boxes. I'm a sole practitioner. I'm the only lawyer in my office, but I've been doing this for 36 years. And I was stunned at the amount of paper that was there. But about 10 years ago, I started scanning and storing documents digitally on the computer, either ones that I produced or ones that I received. I would scan them all. And I looked at those boxes. I said, I don't need those anymore. But I'm only required to keep documents for 10 years. The circuit clerk's office, you're required to keep them in some form for forever?
In some cases.
Some cases,
yeah,
yes.
you are criminal cases you basically have to keep forever. Some of the confidential type cases you keep for 75 years. So it's it just puts a lot of constraints on the clerk's offices and counties throughout the state in trying to keep those documents around.
And many of them are utilizing their former county jails now as storage facilities.
Yeah.
Because of the regional jail system, they have the county jail, so many are putting, I mean, you walk in and it still looks like a jail, but there's files and files and files everywhere.
And finding any particular document an easy task, is it?
No, it's not an easy task.
I have been impressed at how clerks, either circuit clerks or county clerks, circuit clerk keeps all the documents related to the trial court in the county. That's the circuit court in the county. The county clerk technically is the clerk of the county commission. The county clerk keeps all the documents relating to estates, real estate, things of that sort. And between the two offices, there's so very much paper, but bless your little hearts, you can recover them if somebody comes in and needs to see them.
Yes, we can.
And usually with good graces.
Yes. Yes.
Mike, what's your role in all of this?
We're putting together the clerk management system, which is essentially fed by the e-file system and also returns the information back to the e-file system. In other words, there's a whole lot of data that's kept associated with how documents came in, the sequence of events in the case, that sort of thing, dispositions, party names, that sort of thing. That's all kept in the clerk's office, as well as all the financial records. So we do that part. The e-filing system then gives us information which we store for the clerk instead of the paper documents, and then we give the e-file system back anything it needs in terms of an inquiry. It doesn't actually keep the data itself.
So it's more than just the file of the paper that came in.
Much, much more.
Yes.
Yes.
And everything has to be indexed so that it's readily accessible.
Yeah.
As I sit in my office, am I going to have access to all of these documents?
Yes. If you've e-filed a case or you are associated with a case from a prior paper filing, you'll be able to use your bar ID to register in the system, get an ID, and then any case that you're a part of, as well as any public case, you'll have access to electronically.
Not all cases are public.
No.
Correct.
No.
What would not be public?
Oh, an adoption,
Juvenile.
Guardianships. There's just certain.
mental health cases, those sorts of things.
Very, very personal.
Divorce cases, the majority of a divorce case is not public record.
The fact that it was filed, the final order are public.
Right.
Yes.
But
Yeah.
everything that happened in between is not. But it's maintained in the system.
Do you anticipate that the average person sitting at home will be allowed to access these records?
Yes.
Yes.
I'm going to let Matt address that about the vault.
Yeah, basically we have two different systems. We have the e-filing side, and then we have a thing called the West Virginia Vault. And what the vault is, it's going to be storing all the data, all the images. And we are going to offer that to attorneys based on a subscription type basis where they pay like a monthly fee and they have access to any public document throughout the state in any circuit clerk's office. And what I tell attorneys when I go out and present, I was like, imagine one large circuit clerk's office that's open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. That's what you'd have access to.
So if I want to know if Dan Ringer has ever been sued, I can go online and search for Dan Ringer.
You can search by name, case number, county, whatever, and it will show you every time that Dan Ringer was involved in a public document.
This is also going to be available to the public as well.
Yes, and we're also like, if you go into the actual courthouse, to the circuit clerk's office, we're going to have public terminals where you can do the same access for free.
We're talking about electronic courts. My guests are Matt Arrowood, the Director of Circuit Clerk Services for the West Virginia Supreme Court, Barbara Core, a consultant with Online Information Services Incorporated and the retired Circuit Clerk of Marion County, and Michael Manley, President of Software Systems. I'm Dan Ringer, and this is The Law Works. I anticipate there are going to be a number of people who say, I don't want my information to be made publicly available. What can I do about that?
Well, what I tell them now is it's publicly available now. If I walk into a circuit clerk's office and it's a public file, I can pull that file and copy that information and do whatever I want with it. Through our system, the way I explain it, the way it's more secure is we know who looked at that file. We know who went in because we hold the gate. In order to get a key, you have to register. So therefore, we're going to know who looked at what file and what happened. If I walk into a circuit clerk's office, I don't give my ID, I don't give any information, but I'm allowed to view the records. So technically, this is more secure.
So if a person sitting at home wants to access these records, they have to essentially sign up to be able to access them?
Yeah. Once we have everything electronic and digital, they will go to the local circuit clerk's office, they will sign up, create an email address, create an account, and then they will have access to the public records.
Barb, what kind of a change is this going to make in the circuit clerk's offices? Right now, a typical circuit clerk's office will have a half a dozen or more deputy clerks. You have a circuit clerk, you have a counter where you meet people, and stacks of paper on everybody's desk. What's it going to look like in the future?
It's going to be wonderful. We've already seen a change in the Marion County Circuit Clerk's office, just in the way with everything being scanned in, getting rid of paper. In the future, as we get more and more e-filing, there's less individuals that circuit clerks are going to and their staff are going to have to deal with. Everything comes in through what we call a court module. They can see what cases have been filed electronically, and they'll go through that and open it up in several times during the day. It's what we call a queue, and see if they need to do anything. This is going to cut down on circuit clerks having to prepare summonses, subpoenas, just a whole area of chores that they have to do.
There are a lot of things that can be done electronically that we're already doing. I mentioned at the top of the show that at some point it would be possible to attend hearings electronically, and in fact, in many counties, we're doing that now.
Yes. More so in magistrate court with the regional jails. They do the video teleconferencing.
And we're also using those for interpreter situations.
Yes.
Like if we have a foreign language that is not readily available in the state of West Virginia, which we're finding more and more, we can use the telecommunications to find someone anywhere to translate.
So you have an interpreter on one end of a link,
Yes.
and
Yes.
the person who is speaking the foreign language on another
Yes.
end, and you can work back and forth.
Yes.
That's wonderful. Spanish is very frequently spoken within the United States. A lot of people in West Virginia speak Spanish. Spanish language interpreters are rare. It's hard to find someone certified to do that in the court system.
We've run into a couple other different types of languages that are becoming more and more prevalent in the state of West Virginia.
Oh, I would think Portuguese, Vietnamese, French, which is about as mainstream. Spanish and French are very mainstream languages, but still it's hard to find people.
It really is. I served on a committee that deals with that subject, and one of the tasks we were charged with was going back to our counties, with our communities, and seeing where you could come up with those individuals. So contact like the university or Fairmont State, and it's very difficult. It's very difficult to find someone who is certified.
Yeah, it's more than
that.
just speaking French or Spanish or Vietnamese. You have to have the vocabulary to be able to handle the legal language. Mike, what kind of electronic hardware are we talking about to be able to do all this?
Well, all this hardware is centrally located. So what will happen is, instead of each county having their own system keeping their records, all the information will be stored on one central system, which has a lot of advantages. The biggest advantage is it will be secured at that central location, which we won't give out too many details about where it is, with a redundant system as well. But it also cuts down on the manpower requirements for taking backups and maintaining the system, that sort of thing. But the key advantage to the whole thing is that means that records from each county will be accessible by everyone. As it is now, if you want to find something in Marion County, you go to the Marion County Clerk's office and stand in front of the window and ask for it. If you want it in Jefferson County, you drive over to Jefferson County and stand there. Once the system is fully operational in all the counties, you'll be able to access all that information from your office or from your home.
There are a lot of legitimate reasons for wanting to know about people. An employer may want to know if someone has been convicted of a crime. It'd be very easy for them to access West Virginia criminal information through the system.
Absolutely.
What about Pennsylvania, Ohio, California? Where are we going nationwide with this sort of thing?
I've been in talks with the FBI. They had saw newspaper article on it, and they had contacted me because a lot of times they have to do very intense background checks, and they have to call the local circuit clerk's office, and sometimes it can take weeks, months to get this information back for the clerk to actually physically go find the file, because it could have been years and years ago. So the FBI contacted me and they said, hey, can you help alleviate that situation with this? And I said, absolutely, because we can give you access to our system, and once we're up and running, you could type in that name and you know everything about that person within the context of West Virginia. So, you know, the FBI nationwide will technically have access to criminal records in West Virginia.
The term Big Brother, though, kind of comes up. I would think maybe some people are going to be uncomfortable about this, but this is all otherwise public information. You're just...
It's what, like he said, it's what the FBI does now.
It's what
They
they
have
do
to
now.
call each individual clerk's office.
You know, that's not really a high recommendation. Well, the NSA does it, the CIA, the FBI does it, but there are reasons for doing it. An employer can be more secure. If you want to hire a babysitter, you can find out about the babysitter, or if you're uncomfortable about your Boy Scout leader, or your Little League coach, or Father Smith down at the church, you can check these people out and see if there's anything publicly available about them. And I thought Google was neat.
Yeah. Well, you asked the question about multiple states, and it's really a jurisdictional kind of thing. The West Virginia records are West Virginia records. We can't really reach into another state and get their records, but other states around the country are doing similar things. Matt just attended a conference of Supreme Court justices from all over the country, and got some back and forth with them about some of the other things that were going on.
You know, we probably ought to identify each of your roles in this process, because the three of you really are very active in causing this to happen. Matt, what is your role?
Causing this to happen?
Allowing this to happen?
Yeah.
Helping this to happen?
My role is the court had never had the position of director of circuit clerk. Circuit clerks are independently elected and funded by the county, but their work goes through the judiciary. So we decided in order to do this, we needed to have a central point. So they created this division and put me in charge of it. So basically, I'm spearheading, kind of unifying the circuit clerks, and plus leading up this e-filing.
And the Supreme Court basically is telling the circuit clerks, you will get on board with this. This is a project that the state of West Virginia wants to accomplish. Yeah,
it's the direction the judiciary wants to go, and we are also offering, once we are in a county, once you become a part of the e-filing situation, then we will pay for all your technology. So we were taking that burden off the county.
That's a big burden.
It's a big burden.
Mike, what's your role?
We were asked to get involved with this because a dozen of our existing customers, circuit clerk offices, ran our software. And I won't brag about us, but we were chosen as opposed to other options, including systems from outside the state. And what we've done is put together a fairly consistent system in all those counties. So bringing them on was a logical next step.
We probably ought to point out that your company is an underwriter of this program.
Yes.
In the interest of full disclosure. And Barb, your role was what?
My role is to coordinate all the efforts between Mike and online information services to make the e-file system fit with the court management system, and to just coordinate all the efforts between them and the circuit clerks and their staff and the court, just to make sure everybody's on the same page.
Matt knows what's supposed to be done. Mike knows how to make it happen, but you know what it's really all about.
That's perfect.
Yeah.
You've got the dirt of the circuit clerk's office under your fingernails,
Yes.
as it were.
Yeah, it was. It's been a great experience. It really has been.
And another thing that's very important in this is people were treated differently in different counties. Some of this was grown up by tradition and that sort of thing. What this will do is put everybody on the same page. Everybody operate with the same rules.
Mike Manley, Barbara Corr, Matt Arrowood, thank you folks for being with us. Thank you also for being with us on behalf of the LawWorks. I'm Dan Ringer. Good evening. If you would like to suggest a topic for a future The Law Works show, or if you're a school teacher and would like to receive a DVD of this show for classroom use, send us an email to thelawworks@comcast.net or visit us on Facebook. On the Law Works website at thelawworks.org, you'll find a listing of recent The Law Works programs, additional information about this show's topic, and video of this and recent shows. You can also find the Law Works programs on YouTube and iTunes. The Law Works is produced in cooperation with the Office of the West Virginia Attorney General, the West Virginia Bar Foundation, the Mountain State Bar, the Monongalia County Bar Association, and the West Virginia University College of Law.
The Law Works is made possible by major grants from the West Virginia Attorney General and from Software Systems Incorporated, a West Virginia company established in 1975, which provides high-end support services, programming, and consulting for county government AS400 mid-range computer systems, as well as PC-based systems, and by a grant from the West Virginia Bar Foundation. The West Virginia Bar Foundation, the philanthropic organization for West Virginia's legal profession and justice system, promoting public knowledge of the law in West Virginia. Additional support for the Law Works is provided by the West Virginia Supreme Court of Appeals.
From West Virginia Public Broadcasting,